lately. That's what I hear when we make another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're selling Pokemon cards or hoodies, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can successfully grow your business. Covering all your sales channels from a shop-front-ready POS system to its all-in-one e-commerce platform. Shopify even gets you selling across social media marketplaces like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Full of the industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without learning new skills in design or coding. And thanks to award-winning help and with an extensive business course library, Shopify is ready to support your success every step of the way. What's lovely about Shopify is that no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify will be there to empower you with the confidence and control to take your business to the next level. It's time to get serious about selling and get Shopify today. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a £1 per month trial period at shopify.co.uk/Sean, SHAUN, all lowercase. Go to shopify.co.uk/Sean to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.co.uk/Sean. Link in description box if you're watching this on YouTube. Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Back to the podcast. Cheers. Yeah, so I'm wondering about it in the context of the allegations. What year was this call made again?
So that was the start of 2017, like January time.
Okay, so it was in October, it says here, of 2017, that she received a $100,000 settlement from Harvey Weinstein in relation to the alleged SA in 1997.
I think she'd received a settlement years before. That never, obviously, because it was settled, it never went to court. And whatever allegations she's going to bring up, which she does, are not, they're just allegations. They're nothing that's ever been proved in court or even tested in court. So,
all right. And then it says here that she accused Ben Affleck of lying for saying he was angry over Weinstein's alleged abuse, but failing to indicate whether he knew about it, even though she had told him Weinstein had acted inappropriately towards her. Did you ever hear anything about Ben Affleck?
No, but I think generally there was this, while the going was good and Weinstein was the sort of kingmaker in Hollywood, there were all kinds of accusations about him, and they were literally joked about, except, you know, at award ceremonies on the red carpet. People would make jokes about not being left alone in a room with Harvey and all the things he got up to. But while he was at the top of his game, no one wanted to publicly come forward. And it's interesting how with people like him or Bill Cosby, Kevin Spacey, all the accusations come when their star is kind of in the descent, you know, when everyone's got rich off the back of them and didn't want to rock the boat at the time. And suddenly as their careers start to end, that's when the accusers come forward. I'm sure the people on the other side would say, oh, no, well, we didn't feel empowered to, or they could have done it at any point and arguably saved, if it's true that these people committed assaults, if you'd have come forward earlier, you'd have saved other women or other victims from suffering the same fate. But they never do. It only happens, like you've seen with Weinstein now, as he's at the end of his career, as it were.
So in the beginning, when she's saying that she's gone rogue, like she's an outlier in something, what was your interpretation of that?
Well, I mean, obviously, I've done my research on her, and her whole shtick, if you like, is get together with Marilyn Manson. You're in Hollywood. You're living very comfortably off the back of your Hollywood lifestyle and connections and starring roles and all that. But you want to portray yourself as, well, I'm not really part of it, and I hate the whole structure. And it's all, I mean, it's not whether it sounds ungrateful or not. It's just not true. I mean, if you didn't want to be part of the Hollywood elite, you wouldn't be. You'd remove yourself and you wouldn't keep acting or whatever. So it's you take it with a sort of grain of salt, what she's saying there, or I did at least. But I suppose because all I'm there to do is to extract that piece of information about Harvey, I can listen to this nonsense all day if it's going to lead to where I'm trying to get to. But I'm also constrained that, imagine right now I said to her, oh, and tell me about your accusations about Harvey. She'd jump back. She'd suddenly think, is he a plant, you know, in the midst of all this? So I have to very softly kind of steer it and never give an inkling that even when she gets onto it, that's what I was here to ask her. So I had to keep pretending the whole way through. It's not easy. And I'd had several whiskeys. You can hear me slurring at one point. Because I needed to. I just needed to like try and get into her mindset of, you know, just complete stream of consciousness and just sort of like waves lapping at the shore. It's not really going anywhere, the conversation, even though I'm trying to get it somewhere and do. She can't know that. So
It's quite trusting of her, isn't it? It's almost as if her ego's getting in the way, and maybe she's on substances or alcohol too.
Well, exactly. And look, she's well documented as saying that she, you know, self-medicates and all that. The problem, it's good for us, but the problem with people at this level is they're so used to just being surrounded by yes men and yes women that they don't realize how nonsensical half the things they say are, because they've got people who just nod adoringly and want something from them. So that's what it felt like in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's been many a person's downfall. All right, let's continue with this then.
You should watch my movie. It's about what we do to girls.
No, I did.
Really good.
I
watched
it. Yeah, of course.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know you did. Thanks.
But at the same time, like, I mean, I'm not saying it from a kind of negative point of view, but you know, it's easy to be British from London, white male. You know, it's like my wife she's due to give birth in 5 weeks' time to our second child. I'm never going to relate to that. Whatever I pretend to do.
No,
I mean,
no.
yeah, I've got no idea.
But the problem is that they usually don't care to even think that far about it.
No, of course.
So, like,
but
if
I
you
mean,
have people writing women that don't even think about women, and then women see that on screen, what they're being characterized as, and they mirror that, they're now living an external self.
no, but I could say to you, you know, I want to relate to what it's like to be a woman in Hollywood, but obviously I can't relate. I mean, you know, I can relate to being a whistleblower.
No, but it'd be nice of you to imagine. You can't relate, but you can imagine. I can't relate to that. I mean, I'm just feeling like I've been thrown away at times. Like, I can't relate to the poor little, you know, lowest caste child that's on a garbage dump in India. But I can have empathy and try to change it.
No, you can.
I can have empathy and try to change it.
I mean, obviously everything we say is off the record, but I've spoken to people that work for, you know, say Miramax and who've told me they're under NDA and they can't talk about anything that's happened to them, but they're desperate to say X person abused me or X person made my life hell, and I can't relate to it because I've never been in, you know, I've obviously worked in the media.
A situation where someone could do that.
Yeah, and someone telling you try and put yourself in their place and say, well, what does it feel like? They want to further their career, and they want to make, you know, they want to have a career in.
They want to pay their rent.
But if someone turns around and fucks with them, I've got no idea what that feels like. And thank God I don't.
It's a nightmare. Well, what it feels like is like it feels like you're under attack.
Yeah, but I'm talking people who say I'm under an NDA, I signed something and they're going to crush me if I talk out about it. And then you say, well, you know.
I think there's interesting way. I think you can always get information out.
No, but
if that person was smart, they would have a Twitter account and just out people all the time.
No, but sure, but when you read like Constance Wu this week, you know, she says something about Constance Wu.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. Good for her. This is where it gets really tricky for me because I have to figure this out. I got a contract because I sold the show. I can sell one of my shows to Amazon that I wrote and I'm directing. Amazon is put out Manchester by the Sea. Amazon's also working with Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, and Casey Affleck. So what does that say to you? And these are the good guys.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, it's like these are the.
But I'm like, I don't want to sign this contract because I don't want to work in that. I don't. Fuck you. I don't want you to own my stuff. I don't want to be on your. Even though strategically it'd be a smart business move and a great creative move, I guess. I can't do it, so I'm gonna pull out.
Yeah, but then where does that leave you as an individual? And
it leaves me figuring it out, doing what I want to do. I don't know. I don't really care. Is the thing. Like, that's the thing now. I'm not willing to like sell my firstborn. I've never been willing to sell my firstborn to get ahead. I could have been a massive celebrity should I so have desired. I did not want to.
Yeah,
I don't like people bothering me on the street and being hounded. I don't like living in the smallest town in the world. That's what it feels like when you're famous. When I was really, really famous, it was like you lived in the tiniest house and everyone can touch you.
Yeah. But
And basically your worth is valued in Hollywood by the amount of anonymous semen you can extract from them and then of the movie theater.
yeah. No, understood.
But at the same time, when I was 6 years old, I knew I was going to be famous, but I always knew it wasn't the big thing I was going to do. This has always been my trajectory, my plan. I just got knocked sideways for a while and got lost because, like I said, I was being other people instead of myself. I didn't have enough access to myself for enough time to form
But
as quickly as I would have liked to.
But I mean, what I find,
they built a beast.
yeah. But when you find all these people under NDA and they can't talk, but they want to imply something, but at the same time, if they do, if they go too far, then they're not going to work in Hollywood again. I don't mean in your case. I just mean in people you talk to about, what life's like being.
Yeah, I mean, but see, it's going to take someone like me who's like, fuck off. Like, if I never direct a movie again, I directed a flawless short. Cool.
Yeah.
I set out to make a mini masterpiece, so I did.
No, but I work with I don't know if you saw the Oscar nominations, but the White Helmets, which is up for the best, I forget how you call it, the best Oscar for documentary short, and that's someone that I work with. We did a film in Costa Rica together with the president of Costa Rica, and that's someone that has no baggage, and she came at it from a completely different trajectory. So for her, it's she hasn't had the Hollywood experience. But then people I talk to, when they've grown up in Hollywood, everything about them is Hollywood, and if you say one thing out of line, basically you're screwed. That's it. If you talk out.
It's a town that breeds fear, and it's a white male mafia. And the thing is with me is I realize that it's absolutely funny, but why am I protecting you?
Yeah, but
but my book is going to address a lot of these things.
But
the book is not. It's not a tell-all. It's like a tell it how it is.
But have you convinced? But how do you get Harper Collins to? I mean, it's very different in England. In England, when I wrote my book for Penguin. So if I said
these people, because my book is called Brave, and that was my criteria for anybody I find was good. I waited. I met like I feel like I met every publisher out there, and if there was one weak link on the team that was wussy, that was like weak, I wouldn't sign with them. Like one guy I love, and I like the whole team except for the publicist was like, "Wow, your life story's so neat." And I'm like, "Bye."
Yeah.
Guess who I'm not going to work with? You. So from the outset, you can prevent a lot of problems by who you choose from the outset. And the thing is like I'm not saying anything that's not readily available. It's actually just my theories, philosophy, thoughts.
No, but if you, I mean, not you, but if someone was to say, person X did Y to me, and you can, you hadn't gone to the police or you hadn't proved it, how can you get the publisher to publish it? In England, you can't do that at all, because they would say, "Oh, there's a cult."
Well, that's because I actually have a signed document.
Sorry, Sean.
What, that would convince the publisher that
Hold
they
on
can
a second, let me just pause it. Yes?
No, I was just going to say, you can see I've got it to the meat of what we want now. This is the moment where she's now into the NDAs. I mean, you probably heard where she said Harvey Weinstein a couple of minutes ago. If I hadn't been trained, you'd take the bait straight away and say, "Oh no, Harvey," and that could have put, aroused her suspicion. She's naturally brought it onto the NDA and how she's getting the publisher to publish allegations which have never been tested in court or with the police. And this is all I'm here for, if you like. And even though, I mean, look, the call goes on for an hour and 15 in total, but I know, and I can't give any hint of it, that this is the money shot, if you like. This is where you're going to get everything that he's looking for. And obviously, I'm going to have to naturally end the call later. Keep talking, listening to all the stuff that was of no use at all. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight this. This is where I'm at my peak, if you like I'm listening for every detail, and because it's being recorded, I know that the analysts back at Black Cube, they'll go through it. They've got psychologists who are listening for all the tells that even I might not spot with how she talks. Does she sound like she's lying there or telling the truth there? And so I was just remembering what it felt like when I'm standing there listening and thinking, hold on, now we're going to get onto the Weinstein stuff.
And we're hearing her in the chat that people are picking up. Her attitude towards the masses is a bit condescending.
Oh, totally. 100%. And it's also, I mean, it's almost juvenile in a way. It's like, well, I don't care what they think, and I don't this and that, and it's white men mafia and all this stuff. It's almost like Arrested Development. You're not, certainly you wouldn't want this kind of thing going out in a newspaper article, because like your listeners and viewers can hear, it's just talking down to everyone. She is the oracle. Only she knows the truth, and everyone else are the little people, and beneath contempt, essentially. So
yeah, and it gets worse, I think, from when I listened the first time.
Yeah.
No. A signed document from the time of the attack.
Right. Yeah, because
it was settled for a very small settlement. It was settled. So that's an admission of guilt.
So a bit like Casey Affleck and the whole settle out of court.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because in the UK, it's, I did do this. When I was writing about the stock market, I said, this person did this, and the lawyers from Penguin said, well, unless you've got proof, how are we going to...
Believe me, the lawyers are all very nervous. But my book, I know what I'm writing, and it's not about. It's like really broader. Like I said, my aim is to change thinking for the world. I realized there are no lobbyists for thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I've worked in DC, and I lobbied for the NEA, and then I was like, fuck those people, they're stupid. But I realized there's nobody out there pushing any agenda for critical thought. And I've found, especially in America, to be terribly stupid and dedicated to its stupidity. What I want is the 10%. But what I want is the 10% from every class of consciousness, a class of people. And if I can agitate them enough, my thing is, for the last year and a half, has been basically punching at the matrix, punching a hole in it, glitching it.
Yeah.
And then I'll get it ready to actually hear what I say. But if I had come out with a book, people wouldn't be able to hear it because they wouldn't be primed to hear it yet.
Yeah.
I have to train people to be able to listen to me, because they won't unless I train them. And the way I train them is by punching them in the head and then implanting thought. And I have a very unique method, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I said, I offer a chiropractic adjustment for the mind.
Yeah, so
that's what I look at it.
Some of the interviews I've seen with you, was it Bravo I think it was
Bravo.
Someone who
Bravo. That fucking was it that
about orbs and yeah. You just think
all he was talking to me about was the guy I went out with 15 years ago.
Yeah, and you look at it and you just think they're not even engaging with you. They're just talking about something.
They're not engaging. They're not even understanding who I am or giving a fuck. I was like, I'll never do that.
And obviously you've got your agenda, but they're just sitting there just thinking this is another talk show. We're going to just say X, Y, Z, and it doesn't mean anything or have any ramifications. And you just think, well,
everything is ramifications.
No, well, you would hope it would be, but in that case, I
didn't say it's positive ramifications. I think everything has ramifications. Everything is put out there that people absorb.
Yeah.
When I meet people that, and we talk about something, they're like, oh, I never listen to lyrics. I'm like, really? The lyrics are listening to you because they're implanting themselves in your head without you even knowing.
Yeah.
Everything that gets into your head counts, and I want to that's why I barely watch TV, and I don't really watch films. I watch classic films. I don't want these insipid thoughts in my head. I don't want their stereotypes in my head.
No, but the problem is that the media that you have to use to get out to the masses is skewed against you because
if you Google Rose McGowan hijacking,
I know I did. I know that
every single. But if you look at the Google page, not even reading the stuff, everything is attack, dishes, this, smash, this, and I was incredibly calm.
Yeah.
I walked out of that with my fist up in the air.
Yeah, but they talk about it like
proud of
that whole thing.
And they put it. Where they covered it in the New York Times? They put it in the style section.
Yeah.
And they wrote self-appointed activists. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there supposed to be a vote?
No, but that's a problem. And that's the thing
that is the problem right fucking there. I'm going after media as much as I am going after Hollywood.
But then you find, I'm obviously not comparing you with Donald Trump, but he goes after the media. And then you find...
No, this is very, very different. This is like, I don't care. I'm not against the media. I need them to be smarter because I need them to understand what they're doing is damaging. I need them to be smarter. I need these men and women, the few women there are, to wake the fuck up.
But you also know they're not going to.
I don't know. I have a pretty interesting way of doing stuff.
No, I don't mean with you. I just mean generally.
I know.
Have an agenda.
You never know.
They want to sell.
They do. Well, Rupert Murdoch really hates this country. I would ask him why he hates this country so much. Like, why somebody from Australia changed everything here.
Yeah, but we've been saying that in England for years, and it's you can call it clickbait. You can call it.
No, it's assaultive. It's assaultive media, and it's negative as fuck. But the thing is that you can teach people to think critically and to choose what they want to put in, just as long as they know that there's a choice. They can still choose it. You can still choose to watch the Kardashians. No, you're in a cult.
Yeah, but right now, if you had you had a media voice that had no agenda, that didn't care about advertising, that didn't care about any ratings or anything, you would smash it. But it's
That's
very...
me.
Sorry?
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to get that voice. Not from you, but... No, but from...
Someone the other day goes, "You're so lucky to have a platform." I'm like, luck has fuck all to do with this. I worked my ass off to survive with every fucking force trying to pull me down in this town. That is me, but I speak for a lot of people that are like-minded.
No, sure, but if
and
you
more
had
and
your...
more people are like-minded.
But who would your ideal platform be right now to take that?
What was my ideal platform?
Yeah.
Right. The thing is like, it would be actually like, I almost wanted to do an anti-Kardashian show, like almost like a docuseries, because people are not exposed to people that think. They're not in media and Hollywood and in the mass market exposed to thinkers. They're just not. And the people that are thinkers are like the ones that are like the New York Times that are very out of touch and still very sexist, very out of touch with, so quote unquote common people read stupid. But I have stayed undercover essentially. That's why I did Charmed, so I could have it was a backbreaking work. It was 5 years of 80 hours a week.
What did she say then about the common people?
But this is her way of... it's almost like listening to sort of a televangelist or something. She's genuinely, or at least the way she comes across, and I have to take it as genuine, she's talking about punching a hole in the matrix and re-educating people, and she's got this platform and she can change the world and so on and so forth. And we now obviously have the benefit of hindsight nearly 10 years on, and nothing has changed. And arguably things have got worse for people like her. There wasn't an Andrew Tate back then. There wasn't this whole manosphere and all the things they were fighting against. Yes, there was a moment when Trump burst onto the scene and people found it repulsive, people in her orbit, and they were fighting back. And Harvey got convicted, and Bill Cosby was convicted, and Kevin Spacey, and all these things have been, overturned essentially. And I suppose Trump being voted back in showed that the little people and the common people that she talks about actually don't agree with her, and she hasn't changed anything, and if anything has made it worse, because these are not the spokespeople you want for a movement that's trying to connect with people. They're preaching basically. So
I'll just rewind that a little bit so people can hear that part again. Here we go.
To survive with
but that's
every fucking force trying to pull me down in this town. That is me, but I speak for a lot of people that are like-minded.
No, sure, but if
and
you
more
had
and more people are like-minded.
But who would your ideal platform be right now to take
what was
that
my ideal platform?
Yeah.
Right. The thing is like, it would be actually like, I almost wanted to do an anti-Kardashian show, like almost like a docuseries, because people are not exposed to people that think. They're not in media and Hollywood and in the mass market exposed to thinkers. They're just not. And the people that are thinkers are like the ones that are like the New York Times that are very out of touch and still very sexist, very out of touch with, so quote unquote common people read stupid. But I I have been undercover essentially. That's why I did Charmed, so I could have it was backbreaking work. It was 5 years of 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible. And it was so I could infiltrate the masses when it's time. And then I pulled back on fame largely, deconstructed it, came back to America 3 years ago, and I was like, you all are still this stupid. Fuck. Now you're dumber than ever. But the thing is, if you can change what's on screen, you can change what's in people's heads.
No, sure.
So my thing is probably that. My biggest hurdle with that is that I'm actually, like, I find it distasteful, and I'm kind of weirdly shy. You wouldn't think so. In terms of selling myself, like Jennifer Lopez, very good celebrity. She's like a fucking baller businesswoman, celebrity. She's the CEO of celebrity, right? Yeah. That's her game. I just was never, it was always embarrassing to me. Like being labeled an actress was embarrassing to me. I was embarrassed at every turn by how it was sold and how it mischaracterized me. But that's how a lot of women are sold, is mischaracterized, just in their own lives, you know? So my thing is that it actually is quite relatable. And when people try to stop me from doing what I know I'm going to be doing in the next year and a half is really big.